Hey, Mondays are always interesting. I have to open everything back up, and when I do, you never know. I couldn't get the camera to work, all kinds of good stuff. But today I got two medicines that are not basically proven, other than in tincture, and they are Calotropis Gigantea, which is called Madar bark from East India, and the other one is Caltha Pauludtris, which is cowslip, a plant. Anyways, so before that, I've been dealing with a bad shoulder for the longest time, and last night I decided I was taking Ruta in the C potencies, which is centesimal. That's a whole thing. It's in my community, but I took a spagyric Ruta last night. On top of that, I had what's the plant I picked? Lemon balm. Lemon balm is great for the nerves and that. So I drank a nice cup of tea of that, and I took the Ruta. My arm didn't hurt. I was very comfortable and slept well, because I haven't been sleeping well because I wake up with that pain in the hip and the shoulder. So I got to figure out, okay, did the lemon balm make me so relaxed? Did it take away the inflammation, or is it the Ruta? So today I will do I'll just do Ruta. I'm gonna skip the lemon balm today because I made a bottle. I take the spagyric 3C is what it is. Of all the spagyrics are made out of 3Cs, but they're low potency for chronic situations. Usually in homeopathy, you go low with chronic stuff and a little higher for emergencies like 3200, and then you can even get into higher potencies. So the spagyrics are 3Cs, and I took that in a bottle of water, and I put everything in a bottle of water because the idea behind that is, and that was Hahnemann's last experiment. And I'm going through the um, miasm part of my mentor's teachings, and that whole miasm thing. Um, it helps you to understand, you know, where some of this stuff comes from, why you're susceptible to things, what's going on there. But yeah, as I'm going through that, he talks about being an herbalist, becoming an herbalist, and he also talked about Hahnemann's last experiments was DLMs, which was in larger amounts of water and all that. But DLMs was his last experiment, and one thing my mentor said, Robert Murphy, he said to uh, always be curious, I would imagine. He didn't, I don't think he said curious. I'm trying to remember the exact words, but he said always be experiment. Never take things as dogma, like a religious dogma. It's this way and that's it. Never, always be curious that, what if this was something, so there's, and I encourage the homeopaths I've have some fellowship with. I encourage them to be experimenters, and they're always like, oh, what potency, what, how do I give it, all this kind of stuff, and what potency, you always, and one thing they said with the miasm, you're going along with a remedy, and all of a sudden it's not working, so you go up higher, doesn't work. You go lower, it doesn't work. Something There is something, and there's a whole philosophy behind the miasms. There's something blocking it, something stopping it at that point. And what happens is it's either the miasms a new layer, some that miasm just totally right there and it's active, or it's the miasm is inactive, but it's basically showing its head. So it's an obstacle to the cure. So then you go in with a miasmatic remedy. Now it could be psychotic, it could be syphilis, there's, you got to determine which one it is. And he said you might want to just send in a probe, send in meterinum in case it's a gonorrhea syphilitic, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's a syphilitic miasm. So you go in with metaurinum, and if that doesn't work, then it could be a tubercular miasm. You go in with tuberculinum or something like that. And when what happens is you send in a probe and you try it, and it'll either do nothing, or it'll palliate, or if it makes them feel really good, then you're onto something, but you don't know whether that thing worked until you give that miasmatic remedy. Then when you go back to the remedy, the chronic remedy you were given, that's when you basically that's when it worked, it didn't work, because the remedy will start working again. So but a lot of times you give that miasmatic remedy and they'll be like they've never felt that good. I had a guy, his name was Charlie Braun, and he was working for me in the marble restoration company. He was a hair cutter, and he was working for me, and he basically had a flu, and I needed him. Man, we were doing this church down in Northside, tearing out the marble, and it was a historic landmark and all this stuff. So the wood was rotting underneath, so we had to save that marble. It was so interesting because the marble was anywhere from that thick on the edge to real thick in the middle. So I asked the guys, the old timers, what is this? He said they were chiseling it off the block by hand. And then they would get guys with sandpaper, sanding discs on their arms to sand it flat once they laid it in. So that is so interesting. But I said, I don't know what I asked him. I don't know what question I asked him, but this is how easy or how well this can work. I asked him what the problem was, what he was feeling, what was going on, and I got something. I don't know whether it was burning, stinging. I don't know what I got. I don't remember fully, but I know I was only like 15 minutes from my house. I said, I'll be right back. I ran up, got a bottle of water, put a medicine in. I don't know which one, brought it back down, pounded it 100 times, gave it to him, said, pound it, take it every 15 minutes, pound it, and, uh, sip it. Pound it, sip it every 15 minutes. 10 times, pound it, sip it. 10 times, pound it, sip it. I don't know how long, but I'm getting the job together, and I'm organizing things and getting ready and getting everything situated. I had a few guys working at that time. We had to, mix mud. We had to, get ready to set the stone in place and that. But anyways, uh, I asked him, "How you feeling?" I came back an hour or so later. I don't know, and he said, "I had never felt this good in my entire life." So I actually hit him with a remedy that was either his constitutional remedy, or I hit him with a miasmatic remedy. Now, I told him that's it, quit taking it, because if he keeps taking it, what he'll do is prove the medicine is what happens here. He would take it enough to where he would prove he felt so good. Now he'll feel so bad. So I said, quit taking it. So, anyways, I must have hit him with the miasmatic or the constitutional remedy. He felt great and he worked, and he wasn't sick again, that whole rest of the job. Now, flu would last 7 days. I mean, he was wiped out. He was just laying there, you know. Might have been gelsemium. That's usually what I give when someone's just laying there and you don't know you're not getting any other symptoms from them. So, all right, let's get into this. But anyways, it can be that easy. You're just knowing a few keynotes. You're using, it can be that simple. And it can also be simple to the fact where you pick up a book. And the first book is the repertory. You ask them a couple questions, you learn what you're looking for, which is not that hard to learn. I mean, I was into it a few years at that point, but I got some symptoms, went to the repertory. You go to the repertory, which has all the body parts. If you're looking for the lungs, you go to the lungs. If you're looking for the headache, you're looking in under the head. You're looking, different body parts. It can even be different sensations you can look up. You can look up different, like pneumonia, that would be under the lungs. What else do they have? Emergency, all these kind of things. You can look that up in there, and it'll give you a handful of remedies. Now, you go to the Materia Medica, which is what I go through every day with this board. That's what this is set up as, the Materia Medica. It's got the medical modalities, causation, mind, abdomen, back, all these things. And like I say, if you have heart problem, you go to the heart section, and there's a heart section. If they are having anorexia, bulimia, or some kind of situation with the stomach and food and that, you would look under the food section. So there's all kinds of different categories. Mucus, there's a mucus section. So, anyways, you look it up in the repertory, whatever section. Then you come to the materia medica, and you look at the medicines. You might have a handful. That's what you want to do. You have rubrics, which is the lungs. Then you have subrubrics, which would be like pneumonia or burning or something. You'd look up, whatever's going on with that person, and the more subrubrics you get from, lungs is the top category down to the burning in the lungs or the left lung or whatever you're looking up. And the more deeper you get, the less remedies you got to look at. You look up lungs cough or lungs pneumonia, you get quite a few remedies. There's a few main ones, but and then if you can go subrubrics with burning or worse at night or something like that, you get less remedies. Now you come in, you look at these remedies, and I usually go right to the lung section if I'm looking up lungs. And I'll look and say, yeah, that matches. Okay, let's see if I can get two or three other symptoms this person has that matches. Otherwise I can just, like he said, use it as a probe. Give it to them while I'm still looking, and it may work, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I got the right one there. It may palliate, it may work. So that's how easy it can be. Learn a few keynotes, learn a basic batch of remedies. They're all polycrest. They're good for a lot of different things. Arnica, bryonia, rustox, hypericum. All these remedies, you learn them, basics, the keynotes of them. Hypericum is always nerve pain. Rustox is stiffness. Bryonia is worse motion. Rustox better motion. So you learn a few of these things, and it can, you just see somebody and you're like, oh, I think that person needs this. And you give it to them, and it's amazing the results you get. I'm telling you, my arm's been killing me. Now I'm not getting excited because I can still feel the damage in there. It's probably torn rotacuff bursitis or whatever. But I'm going to continue to take the Ruta. Okay, so Calotropis gigantea. The express juice, root, and bark have been extensively used in the East for the emetic, which is what is it? Purging, and sudorific, which is sweating, and purgative quality. So it's pushing all kinds of things out, whether it's a sweat, the stool, the urine. Emetic is the urine. The fresh juice is considered a valuable remedy in skin disorders. Dr. Graham of Philadelphia has used it tincture with great success in cases of syphilis when mercury, they were using mercury at the time for syphilis, can no longer be given in the anemia of syphilis. And syphilis causes anemia, basically. Secondary syphilis. Secondary syphilis is inherited. Anyways, a sense of warmth in the scorbutic cordis is a leading indication. What the heck was that scorbutic cordis? That's a skin eruption. Or no, the scorbutic cordis is the pit of the stomach. Yeah, when there's a warmth. And that's a keynote of this medicine, a warmth in the pit of the stomach. In one case of severe and advanced syphilis with enormous thickening of the end of all the nails. So their nails of their fingers and toes were thickening. Calotropis gigantea affected a cure. The remedy was given in 1 to 5 drop doses. This is of the tincture, or in the pellets saturated with equal parts of the tincture and 95 parts of the alcohol. So they had the syphilis. With syphilis, they had the enormous thickening of the ends of the nails, and that was a keynote for that syphilis that Calotropis gigantea could help with. So syphilis, primary anemia of syphilis. So that's we know what anemia is. Heat in stomach. So that's the pit of the stomach. There's a heat down in there. Obesity. This is all three with syphilis, anemia of syphilis, heat of stomach, and obesity. That's all three. Elephantitis, which is swelling of the parts, growth, different growths, and leprosy. So a lot of skin stuff with Calotropis gigantea. Gigantea. Acute by dysentery, so diarrhea and that from bad water or whatever. Pneumonic tuberculosis, so lung stuff, tuberculosis with pneumonia mixed, kind of. Secondary symptoms of syphilis, where mercury had been used, can't finish the cure. So, anyways, they were using mercury at that time. So that is Calotropis gigantea, a lot of skin stuff, even leprosy and lupus and all these kind of things. A short proving brought out the following symptoms: weak, tired feeling, coldness, dizziness, pain and confusion in the head, nausea and vomiting of bowel, frequent urination, pain, soreness, and redness of the thigh, pain in both legs, swelling of knees, stiffness and inability to walk. That sounds like Russ talks. Pains in hands and feet, first left, then right. Pains worse movement or putting weight on them. So worse movement would be bryonia. So it kind of has a couple of those things in there. So the comparatives are mercury, calii, berberis, sarsaparilla, aeschylus, both aeschylus, there's two of them, ipecac for the emetic, for the wanting to throw up and stuff. Yeah, sorry, that's what emetic is. Berberis, also in syphilis. Coffee caused vomiting when before there was only nausea. So they had nausea, they took calotropis, and coffee caused vomiting. It antidotes many effects. Coffee antidotes the effects of Calotropis, and camphor also antidotes it. Camphor antidotes a lot of them. Okay, so the next one is Caltha Pauludtris, which immune system attacks skin and mucous membrane. So it attacks the immune system and the mucus and membranes. Pemphigus, pemphigus bulli, which is a skin eruption, and uterine cancer. It says it's good for. And of course, this isn't a proven remedy either. That's why I was doing two of them, and I wanted to throw a little bit in the beginning of just how simple this can be. It sounds complicated reading this crap, but it's really not. So, Caltha Pauludtris, which is cowslip, basic cowslip, and herbally they use it. I should have pulled out the herbal. I still can, but we'll see how much time I got here. This is an unproved remedy, but it has irritant properties like other ranunculi. Ranunculi is a type of whole group of plants. Hansen gives as indications pemphigus bulli are surrounded by a ring, much itching. So almost sounds like tick bites when you get that skin irritation from the bite, and you get a ring around it, and it's itchy. Those suckers are real itchy. I haven't had one with a ring yet, and plus I take a bunch of different medicines for it. I take Deletum, I take Hypericum, and then I have the actual sickness that the actual virus that's put in you. There's two different ones, and I've got both of them. And I'll take that every so often. My wife keeps saying that when I feel tired and I feel worn out, like, oh man, I just feel sick or something. She says, I keep telling you that's your Lyme's disease. And that, my joints do get stiff because that's all signs of Lyme's disease, tiredness, stiffness in the joints and stuff like that. So she's probably right. The woman's got a lot of intuition. So the tincture of fresh shoots and flowers are used. So they take the fresh plant and they use the flower, the shoots, and they make it out of it, and all potencies. So it is done in potencies too, and they probably did a lot of these, but they didn't get to prove them. Proving takes getting a group of people together, and we take it until we get sick. So it's probably hard to get that done. And that's why if allopathic medicine would start integrating with homeopathic medicine, we could prove a lot of these medicines because they get a ton of money, and proving wouldn't be hard. You'd pay people to get sick on these medicines and get the idea of what they're good for. But you can also do the ones that aren't poisonous, like Hahnemann did with cicona bark, took cicona bark till he eventually got malaria symptoms, which they were curing malaria with it. You can do the same thing with Calotropis gigantea and Caltha Pauludtris, or madar bark and cowslip. So this thing's surrounded by a ring. It's pemphigus bullae. Thought I looked that up and wrote that on the book, on the board, sorry. But yeah, it's an immune system attack. So we have an immune system attack here. Wonder lupus I thought was for this. Can no lupus. Interesting. Um, anyways, skin and mucous membranes also get attacked by this plant. Hansen gives an indication, okay. On the third day, they are transformed into crusts. Cooper has used it with excellent effect in a case of uterine cancer, giving single doses of the tincture at long intervals. So that's what they were giving it for. The guy happened, why he gave it for uterine cancer, there must have been something there within that plant that he knew related, but also skin stuff, And I thought it was lupus. I could have swore lupus was in the other one, the Gigantea. Lupus. So anyways, autoimmune stuff with Caltha Pauludtris, which is a pemphigus bullae, and like an autoimmune attack of the skin. Anemia, syphilis, and lupus. Lupus. I thought there was lupus with this one. But anyways, let's see, what's it say in the clinical? Yeah, no, leprosy. Yeah, lupus. I thought so. Calotropis, lupus is an autoimmune thing. It's interesting how this one, madar bark, has lupus, which is autoimmune, and Caltha in the same area has pemphigus bullae, which is an autoimmune situation. So let's see what it says herbally. I think I can find it. Yeah, it'd be nice once people start coming into my community and I get that thing built and we can just sit down and do a lot of this stuff. Cowslip. I'm looking for herbal remedies. Let's look at that one. ABC. And you can do this stuff on the computer, obviously. Cowslip. I wonder if it's got it under the. Sometimes they're under the. Like this Caltha palustia. Oh, I'm in the part where it tells you different problems. Great burdock cowslip. Oh, it should be right here. Don't see it. Interesting. Anyways, let's see if it's in this one. ABC. Cow lily, cow slobber, cow parsnip. I wonder if it's one of them. Dang, I should have had this ready. Oh well, anyways. Here, this one's an older one. I got a few of them. Medicinal plants. Let's look up this one. This one's by Peterson. Cowslip, ABC. I've always been interested in herbs and stuff, and I got started a little late with this stuff. Homeopathy, I got started early. Well, I was into herbs, but I wasn't not finding cowslip. Oh well, here's culpepper. Here's another one, culpepper. It might be in here, but I wish I would have really got into the herbs part. There it is, cowslip. Must be an older term. 51 it says. 51. Let's see what this is good for. And that's why my mentor Robin Murphy said you need to become that's cowslip. That's what it looks like. You need to become an herbalist too. And yeah, so medicinal virtues. But I've been taking a lot of classes on herbs and stuff, and yeah, I've got years now to sit down and learn all this stuff and really integrate it with my homeopathic medicine. Our city dames know well enough the ointment or distilled water of it adds to beauty, or at rest restores it when it is lost. So it's a beauty thing they're saying. The well-known perennial belonging to the primrose family, dry meadows, mid-late summer, Venus. They usually relate astrologically. Venus lays claim to this herb as her own, and it is under the sign of Aries. That's interesting. An ointment made from the flower taketh away spots and wrinkles of the skin. Oh, okay. That's why they're saying beautifying. Sunburnings and freckles. So you apply it to the skin, and it helps there. And what did it say? Is it skin stuff? Yeah, pemphigus bulli is the attack of the skin there. Uh, so it has some skin stuff homeopathically, but it needs to be proven. And I don't doubt for a lot of this stuff, if you did make a homeopathic medicine out of it, it would probably be beautifying to the skin if you took it long term, and sunburns and freckles it would help to remove. The flowers of the flowers remedy vertigo. Oh, so the flowers, you make a tincture and you gets rid of vertigo, nightmares, false apparitions, frenzies, falling sickness, I guess, is that vertigo, you fall to one side, palsies, convulsions, cramps, and nerve pains. The roots ease pain in the back and bladder and open up urinary passages. So it's a diuretic. The leaves are good to apply to wounds, and the flowers take away trembling. Modern uses. The flowers are used for their sedative and antispasmodic properties. So good for sleep. Nerve tonic, basically. A teaspoonful of dried flowers made into a tea and taken at night will prevent insomnia. So it is a sleep remedy. Cowslip. An ointment made from the flowers is a good application to relieve sunburn. A decoction of the root is excellent as a remedy for bronchitis and whooping cough. So each part of this plant has a different use and aspect. The dried root is boiled in 1 pint of water. Okay, so that's cowslip. Let me show you that again. That is cowslip. Where does it grow? Dry meadows, late summer. Doesn't say if it's northern or southern or something. Probably have to look at a chart to see. But anyways, and that's the other end of it. I'm getting to know plants out there, and that's why they don't want homeopathic medicine to become popular, because you can't control the medicine. I can go out back, grab some cowslip, make a tincture out of it, take that tincture and create a homeopathic remedy out of it. And it's just as effective as any other remedy that I would buy from a homeopathic pharmacy. So, but I say support the pharmacies, because it's a lot easier than going out and making it. Unless you want to you got to go find the plant, make the tincture. That takes time, and then you need to make a homeopathic medicine, which takes a little more time. The pharmacies all have them ready and ready to go. You buy a kit, you have a kit of remedies. Now I go out, I pick plants to eat. Like today, burdock root is like carrot. You can use it instead of carrot. So anyways, there's so many plants out there that are medicinal food for your nourishment and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what we're coming into here with all the AI and the new robots, and they're talking like they're not going to need a lot of people to work. So I don't know how they're going to rectify that whole situation, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to have food. you know um, Water is a thing I'm trying to rectify, right, to come up with right now, where I'm gonna get my source of water in case they shut that off. Heat, I can figure something out there, I would imagine. But and actually getting into the solar. Hopefully, solar becomes the point. Now they probably don't want that either, because you can get a solar panel and create, a battery system, and create store your own energy. You know, depending on how much you need. But yeah, things are interesting, and it's always good to have a backup plan. What to eat, what you're going to eat, how you're going to take care of yourself medicinally. Like my sister's insurance for health care went up from 500 to, I think she said, 18 something. She said, "That's more than my mortgage." So, are they gonna take care of that? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen there, and that's why, I say, come into my community and get, involved and start learning about homeopathic medicine and prepare yourself. Get a couple kits, a couple books, start getting acclimated to, all the language and all the talking and all that stuff, and eventually, now you have something that you can take care of sicknesses. I've taken care of a lot of things for my family, and it's so great when they something comes up, man. It's like, what's it feel like? What's it look like? What's going on with you? And even a cat. I took care of the cat with pulsatilla. First allium cepa, then pulsatilla, and that's the other thing. You're going to zigzag a little bit with your medicines, because not one medicine will finalize the whole cure. Sometimes you need a couple different ones to get to the end. Anyways, that is morning medicine. You can age, but you don't have to get old unless you don't eat right and don't move right and have too much stress.